Kaidan Ingersoll. Clearly he was the best rider that day. If they're gonna want to compete, it's gonna take way more than just riding the airbag.
The industry is going through a hard spot, and we want to bring a little bit of stoke back to that buying process. You can potentially win a new bike every month.
You're gonna change people's lives, guaranteed.
I don't know, do you see any downside?
Because it's stupid. What other sport is there a 5-person podium? The XC bike now, I could actually see myself riding it.
And it changed the trajectory of my racing career. And now, fast forward to today, I'm building this business with Michael because of those experiences.
All of my recon people are there, and there's chicks and there's beach balls, and it's like the best time ever. Like, it's gonna be cool to see what you guys do.
So, hello and welcome to the RECON MTB podcast.
This is the first one, dude. I'm gonna need a little more energy out of you.
The first official podcast. I'm joined by Allan Cooke.
What's up, y'all? Yeah, stoked to be here. Number one. Wow, it's hard to be. I can't think of too many things I've been on the ground floor, but it's cool to be here for number one. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Allan Cooke, legendary BMX, bike rider, industry guy. You've been all over the place, so we're stoked to have you.
Yeah, man, bike is life. I'm over 40 now, and it's funny, like recounting some of my bike experiences. I'm starting to count them in decades, like 10 years ago, 20 years ago. It's crazy, but it's all good. And dude, I wouldn't change a thing. Like, bikes are sick. Which brings me to a question for you, actually. With new things popping up everywhere, it's a crazy time. You have created, I've been hearing it for a couple of years now, but you've created a new, one of the things I like to say is incentive-based e-com platform, which is like, it's changing the game, because the way people shop right now is just like bottom of the barrel, like Krusty's trying to find the stuff that's on the most sale for whatever. Like,
yeah,
I don't know, but having a reason to shop at a place, it brings me back to when I was a kid, right? Like when I would go to the shop and I would sit there and the guys would ask me if I was going to buy anything and when I was going to leave. Like having a connection with where you're getting your goods for biking, that comes along on the trail with you. So it's really cool to see a new way to do it coming from somebody whose heart's on it.
Yeah, exactly. So we've been working on ReconMTB.com for a while now, and we wanted to bring the passion into the buying experience. So you have the giveaway, you have cash back, and it's giving back more than the other platforms where you can purchase bike products. The industry is going through a hard spot, and I hope we're on the way out of it. And we want to bring a little bit of stoke back to that buying process and sort of kickstart the momentum here. So when you shop at Recon, you can potentially win a new bike every month. You get 3% cash back as store credit towards your next purchase. And we really tried to reinvent the way that the site looks and online bike store design. It was all pretty bland in our opinion, not exciting. So yeah, that's sort of the angle we took here.
Yeah, online shopping for MTB products built and designed from an MTB mind. That's, something that's really appreciated out there, I think, from the market. Like, people are looking for a positive way to spend their money. Is this going to go to charity? Am I going to get cash back? Is there points? What's the end game? Nobody's doing it. And so, I mean, this is the first podcast of many, I would say, because of that, right?
Exactly. We had some comments which were like, what's different here? And that's really it, is while you could shop at any of the other big box online stores, we're actually going to give you something and a reason to shop with us. Great experience and all these incentives. And I hope that someone deserving wins this bike, and new people will win this bike every month, and it'll be super exciting.
Yeah, that's one of the, I don't have to tell you, that's one of my things. One of the best things about being in this industry, as long as I have, is the opportunities that I've been able to hand over to other people.
Right.
When you give away a bike, it's almost automatic that the right person gets it. Like, it's pretty cool. And you get all these super fun stories. Like, you're going to change people's lives, guaranteed. There's no question about it. You're going to change someone's life, whether it's like they were saving up for college and that was the extra 10 grand they needed just to make it happen and they sold the bike. But most likely you're going to change someone's life on the trail, because the opportunity to ride a custom curated bike like that from somebody who rides, it's just not out there very often.
Exactly. We spent a lot of time choosing which parts to put on this bike. And I think whoever wins it will have an awesome ride. And, you're exactly right. I got a lot of help growing up with sponsorship and with helping me get to races or even that parts to go race on. And it changed the trajectory of my racing career. And now, fast forward to today, I'm building this business with Michael because of those experiences. So that's exactly why we wanted to, bring in that aspect to the business. Also, we wanted to bring in a really modern media element. So obviously people have seen and probably were introduced to us on Instagram, short form, really engaging video content. And now we have long form, we have podcasts, we have a great studio, and we're going to be able to elaborate on a lot of ideas like in this form.
Bringing that side of it into the media side, it's also a fresh look at media, right? A completely unbiased media outlet, completely unbiased in the sense that like you guys aren't selling advertising. You're not keeping up with the Joneses. You're just facilitating information to the people that are going to be purchasing stuff from your store. And that's that connection, you know, like these guys know what I'm into. They're showing these things. Of course, I want to be a part of that and purchase my products from them, enter the chance to win bikes. I mean, this is just the bottom. Like, it's funny. I have this image in my head where like I go to a World Cup downhill, and because I'm a Recon member, there's a special zone for me to watch, and all of my Recon people are there.
That'd be
and
so
there's
cool.
chainsaws, and there's drinks, and there's chicks, and there's beach balls, and it's like the best time ever. Like, I don't know. I have that in my head.
Yeah.
It's gonna be cool to see what you guys do.
Yeah, there's definitely, some big ideas here. And what we needed to do is start by creating the media and the store and go from there. We can do anything from here.
Yeah. The world is your oyster.
Yeah. And what do you think about the way we've approached media compared to the legacy industry here?
I mean, it's just modern, right? It's modernized. It's the same information, you're talking to the same people, but in a different way that's a little more formal, a little more familiar. I mean, everybody's got the phones in their pockets. It's all here today, gone later that day, more information. And, there's a place for that long form, but that short form coming from you guys has definitely been a breath of fresh air, I think. Hearing from people out in the world, they're seeing it. They're knowing what it is. They're following it. And it's funny, like people who I've been working with in the bike industry for a lot of years have actually like learned things that, in my opinion, they should have known just from your guys' videos. So it's kind of funny.
Yeah, totally. So you just got back from New Zealand, Crankworx, Rotorua. Tell me, how was it? What did you see that was special? What were you surprised by? Just go into it.
Yeah, Crankworx Rotorua is always like kind of the kickoff to the season. I mean, it's different season down there, but things up in North America on the Northern Hemisphere just kind of starting to thaw out and get warmed up. And getting down to Crankworx is awesome because all of the top riders have been training all winter long. Some people have new bike sponsors, new equipment sponsors. So it's always a good time to get out there and to see who's doing what and kind of set the tone for the season. I think one of the biggest kind of standout things was it was a different contest in the sense that Emil Johansson wasn't there, injured, out. Eric Fedko, injured, out. So some of the top contenders and guys who have been on the podium the previous few years in Rotorua were not there. So there was all this kind of a new sense of excitement, like we're going to see a different contest here. And that's exactly what happened. There's some of the younger riders like Kaidan Ingersoll. I mean, he was definitely, Red Bull FMB Rider of the Year last year. His Crankworx World Tour debut, I think he messed up both of his runs pretty significantly, but still got second. So it's a sign of things to come. Like the guard is changing.
Yeah, totally. And any other events you want to point out?
One of the other things I was really stoked about in New Zealand, well, first, when I went down there, I'd heard that they were going to eliminate Speed and Style as an actual event, which, you never like to see events going away. But they did something really cool. They used the same location that they would have built the Speed and Style course, but they built the slalom course. And it's kind of funny. There's been this joke going around that you call it slalom, because you're really sending it. But they built a true slalom course in the sense that there was gap jumps over water holes. There was gap jumps over hitching posts, things you had to clear or you weren't going to make it down the course. That's not normal slalom. So it was cool to see Crankworx sort of step up what we think of as slalom.
Yeah. And it's hard because I don't know if there's like a standardized image of slalom. There's the format, but like Crankworx slalom compared to Sea Otter slalom is very different. And Sea Otter thinks it's like slalom world championships. But it's just interesting because I feel like there's room for like a series for slalom. And I just wonder when some of that will come.
Yeah. I mean, this new format is going to be exciting. That's another thing that Crankworx has done. They brought individual championships within the Crankworx World Tour. So the Crankworx World Tour is only 3 stops: New Zealand, Australia, and Canada up in Whistler. But they have a couple other events, summer series, which they do down in Christchurch in New Zealand. They've already done those. There's some other ones in BC later in the summer. And now all of those slaloms are going to go to an overall champion. So it's kind of cool that they're differentiating it in that way. And I think that's going to push people to want to train more, to want to practice more, and ultimately more slalom events.
Yeah, when you go down there, you really are waking up on the other side of the world. the racers are going towards the end of their season. It's kind of going into fall, which is a little weird when you're going into spring here. And you really see a different side of the industry that's finished the season. Because let's be honest, when you've raced an entire season, you have a completely different energy than when you're about to go into it.
Yeah, definitely. And that's another thing too. Like even looking back, we're getting a little off track from Crankworx, but looking back at the history of time, the Southern Hemisphere riders, they don't have an off season.
Yeah, they're constantly going. It's crazy. They finish that season, and then a lot of them come out to Europe, and they do a whole nother season. When they go home, it's time for the New Zealand season or Australia season.
Yeah, it's nonstop. But over the history of time, you could say maybe that helps some riders. I can think of some good riders out of New Zealand.
And a lot of really great ones, and that's definitely a reason why.
One of the hardest things I've noticed when riding in the Southern Hemisphere is like, normally when I do a 360, I rotate clockwise. But for some reason, when I go there and I do a 360, I rotate counterclockwise. And sometimes I'm not ready for it.
It's like when you flush the toilet, the water turns the wrong way. Cool. So I thought it'd be fun to ask you some questions that we ask our audience on social media. Who is your favorite rider?
Favorite rider? In general, I'm bad at picking favorites. But I would have to say it's any rider that gets me stoked to, like, if I watch them do a race run or I watch them a video part or whatever it is, that the first thing I think of is I need to go ride my bike.
Yeah.
Like those are my favorite riders. Doesn't matter, man, woman, even category, type of riding. It doesn't matter. If it gets me stoked, man, those are my favorite riders.
Yeah, I totally agree. I have riders that I respect a lot in their riding styles because of certain things they do. Like Jackson Goldstone, I was watching a video of him yesterday. The way he just picks up and reweight in certain compressions and then float over the top of the next is so beautiful to see. And the next day I'll see a clip of Bruni or I'll see a clip of someone else and just go, wow. And it's like, I think it's that feeling like you were saying is like, this makes me want to ride. That made me stoked. And how they capture it is important too, because, you know, the right camera angle, the right person following them, it helps a lot with getting you stoked.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I guess what it ultimately comes down to is like, I know enough to know what that must feel like.
Yeah.
And then I see it and I'm like, man, I need to know what that feels like.
Yeah.
Those are my favorite riders for sure.
Nice. Okay, next question. Loud or silent hubs?
Loud or silent hubs? I think there's this, reason for both. I'm a big fan of super loud hubs on crowded trails because people think that you're like a buzzsaw coming up behind them. You don't even have to say rider. You don't have to get out of the way. They're like, they hear how fast your hub is moving and they think that you're like a bat out of hell and you're going to run them over and they get out of your way. But like trails where people don't get out of your way, like on the road, I'm a huge fan of silent hubs while riding around on the streets because people don't hear you coming and you just get to blow by them and they don't even know you were there until you're gone. But so many times you'll be out on the streets and you're like, oh, rider on your left. In which direction do they jump?
Yeah, they jump left.
Yeah, when you have the wrong way. When you have a silent hub though, like riding street with a free coaster on a BMX bike, there's zero sound. You just are cruising. Nobody knows you're there until you're past them. It's the best.
Yeah. You know, I'm similar. Overall, I like silent hubs. I want my hub to be silent. I want my bike to be silent. The most silent experience possible, except for tires. Obviously, tires on dirt. I love that sound.
That is a good sound.
Yes, but I do respect the design and the sound of a loud hub. You know, like the viral Instagram clips of people turning hubs and they sound really good. I like the sound. I just don't want my bike to be making that sound as I'm flying through the trails.
How many views would you relate Brandon Semenuk's videos to the sound of his hub?
It's a subliminal part of it, that's for sure. People don't know that you just picked up something people don't know. I think people like his videos and that could be a part of it.
And they can't.
Obviously, he's an awesome rider.
They love his videos, but they can't not like the sound.
So another thing we posted about on the RECON MTB Instagram that people really wanted to talk about was the new SRAM compact e-bike motor. It's a lightweight motor, it looks like, and it has a system that's similar to that TQ motor. The motor spindle is actually like the spindle of the cranks. Mm-hmm. And I wonder, is that, legacy technology, or are they potentially going to develop like a gearbox with that? Is that a part of the gearbox? What do you think?
I mean, that's an interesting question, right? Like we have a kinematic, like a sketch and some details and some information. I think looking at, a history of timeline is a good thing to look at because a year ago they came out with their first full powered motor and It's starting to show up on bikes now.
Yep.
Bikes are getting launched with, I think it was the Transition that got launched just recently.
Yeah, last year.
So, look at the history of time. When did the popularity of full-powered e-bikes come in? When did the popularity of lightweight e-bikes come in? Well, that was about, I think probably it really got established when Orbea made their version of the lightweight e-bike after the Specialized.
Right.
It was like, okay, now there's another player, and then everybody started making them. So you got to figure that was what, like 4 years ago? So the development for a motor would probably have started 4 years ago at SRAM, if I guess. So I think you're probably on it that is just a lightweight motor. But it is interesting, to hear SRAM coming into the motor world for e-bikes. The thing that's missing for me on that kinematic and that drawing is like, where is the transmission?
Yeah.
Yeah, are they planning on putting a derailleur on a new motor? It's 2025, man.
I know. Yeah, that's the thing. It's because it's so obvious that the industry's heading that way, especially with e-bikes. And like, why would they produce this new product unless it was designed 2 or 3 years ago at this, or 2 years? You know how long these products take to be developed. Why would they design one now that didn't have some sort of gearbox designed into it? So
my guess is the reason why they would do that is because they have a warehouse full of derailleurs and huge order sheets of people that have ordered derailleurs.
Yeah, I mean, derailleurs, cassettes, drivetrain, it's a good business. There's a lot of consumables.
Yeah, they break
dirt. I know dirt just flying in there. You're trying to shift. So
let's put it closer to the ground so maybe it'll break easier.
I also saw that Fox released the new 34 SL, which is kind of a new product. It's like a new version of a 34 Stepcast. New naming style, new crown bridge. It's all sort of like, it has holes in it. It's pretty futuristic. And I wonder, is that, the beginning of a refreshed fork line from Fox?
I mean, for sure. I think that's, again, talking about history, that's how it works. They do one fork, and then each year it seems like another version of it trickles out. The interesting thing to me about the new Fox 34 is it's designated with SL, which in history, that means super light.
Right.
It's their lightweight one, but it's actually heavier than the previous 34.
Is it?
It is heavier.
You didn't see that.
It's interesting, but it's significantly stiffer. I think it's like 2 or 3% heavier, but it's like 20 to 25% stiffer.
Right.
So for me, that shows really where mountain biking's headed. Like, what is considered a super light fork today that just got launched is heavier than what was not even designated as a lightweight fork yesterday, basically. But it's the stiffness that counts. So those new forks that come out, what's above a 34? We're going to have a 36. We're going to have a 38. We're going to have a 40. I'm guessing those are going to get a little heavier too. But that shows you that they're in tune with what the riders are doing.
Right.
Because riders out there
harder.
are sending it.
Yeah. Yeah, more riders sending it harder. I also think that, you have to look at these products compared to their competitors. So the Pike is a 35 millimeter extension. And I always wondered, like, it seemed like the 34 was a lighter weight fork compared to the Pike. So I think this is maybe, a step in the right direction towards making those products more equal. And, I also had the thought, will we start to see new suspension architecture? Like, are we going to see an upside down fork from Fox or RockShox anytime soon? We saw the new push fork fully upside down, which I've seen in person. It's beautiful. I've never ridden it, but I did notice it's really heavy. I picked it up and I was like, dang, this thing is heavy. And that's a competitor with, we'll call it a 38. Will we see that from one of these traditional manufacturers?
I mean, it's possible. The fact that when motorcycles made the change, that it was a little bit slower of a change, similar to like, what a mountain bike, one brand will do it, then 2 brands will do it. But it was similar to that. But when it changed, it never went back.
Right.
There was one period in time, I think upside down forks in motocross started showing up in the late 80s, early 90s. And then fast forward to like late 90s, like maybe 2000, all of a sudden Suzuki launched a brand new motorcycle with not an upside down fork. And that was the year that Jeremy McGrath rode for Suzuki. And it was also the only year that he competed. He didn't win the Supercross championship. And then the next year, the Suzuki's had upside down forks on them again. So,
Of course.
I mean, if history tells you anything in that technology, there's definitely benefit to it. You're not flipping your motorcycle upside down when you store it. So that's one of the things that is a benefit of upside down forks. The oil is always on the seals. It's always on, the sponges, keeping everything lubricated. Motorcycles, you have a regular fork and that oil's all on the bottom. Maybe your motorcycle sits there for 2, 3, 4 months.
Yeah.
And that stuff dries out. Similar thing on your bike, but most people, they'll hang it on the wall. They'll put it upside down. That's keeping the fork lubricated off and on. But it is interesting, with those other forks, you were mentioning the push, but there is also, which is one of probably the most positive reviewed forks ever, but you never see them, the Manitou Dorado.
Manitou Dorado.
Yeah.
You know who rides that now is Reese Wilson.
Yeah.
And I saw a clip of him talking. He said, like, there's a reason motocross forks like this. It works really well. I actually rode one of the first Manitou Dorados when it came out, and I was shocked by it. But it's just not mainstream enough. And, when you look at it from an engineering standpoint, you're able to make the damper way larger, air spring way larger, and there's more tunability. Stiffer. It heats up less. The only thing you have to solve is the torsional load. I've seen someone put a wheel in between their legs and sort of flex an upside down fork, and it flexes quite a bit more because there's no bridge connecting the two. So I wonder how they're going to solve that. I think, like the push, you just have to make it much thicker and more robust, but how will that affect weight?
Time will tell.
Time will tell, but it will ride better. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, if it rides better, the weight conversation falls to the wayside. I mean, look at how bikes have gone in the last 10 years.
Right. So you just got back from Crankworx. We have Darkfest coming up. What are some of your predictions for the season?
Dang, 2025 is going to be insane. I know that. Predictions for the year. Downhill, I think, is going to have some different faces on the podium.
Okay.
Lachlan McNabb.
Yeah.
I saw some insane composure out of him while we were in Rotorua. He came down, he won qualifying, he won the race, and in the interview, that's what stood out to me. It was like, that was an amazing run. How did you pull it off? It was this, that. And he was just like, yeah, it felt like a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't pushing.
Really?
Yeah, he was chilling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We started to see that last season with him. He would have really standout runs, but not so consistently. You think now, with all that experience, under his belt, is he going to be able to put it together this year?
I think with the experience, with winning the first few races he's been to this season, but then also having the backing of a huge brand like Trek, he is the Trek off-road racing downhill rider now. So the amount of support that's like nutritionist, trainer, masseuse, mechanic, everything. If there was something missing, he has it now. And I think the rest of the World Cup needs to pay attention.
Yeah, totally.
That's my downhill prediction. Nick, what do you got? What do you see happening out there?
I think it's going to be an interesting year on the Enduro World Cup. I think we're going to see a few people not participate who were pretty mainstay riders before. I think especially in the women's field. And, I'm pretty curious to see how this new under 19 category will shape up. Obviously, before it was under 21. The UCI wanted to align enduro and downhill. And I thought, maybe they're going to make downhill under 21 too. They actually did the opposite. Now enduro's under 19. So it's a very slim category for enduro. It's only 17 and 18-year-olds. And I'll tell you something, there are not that many 17 and 18-year-olds racing Enduro World Cup, especially females. So I think we're going to see, like maybe a maximum of 10-person category there. In female, maybe just enough for a podium. And then there's also these podiums. Downhill notoriously had a 5-person podium. Enduro, a 3-person podium. And in this push to align them, they brought Enduro into downhill, meaning now downhill has a 3-person podium. Enduro has a 3-person podium still. I thought it was going to be the opposite. I thought it was going to be Enduro finally gets a 5-person podium. 5-person podium in downhill still because that's the way they've always done it. I don't know. Do you see any downside to having a 5-person podium?
Yes.
Why?
Because it's stupid. What other sport is there a 5-person podium?
I always thought it was cheeky. Like someone would come home.
What color is the 4th place medal? What kind of medal is it made out of?
I don't know.
I got a tin medal for 5th. Like, I don't know. 5-person podium's only sick if you got 4th or 5th.
Right. I guess so. Okay. We talked about downhill, enduro. What more is there? You want to talk about slopestyle?
Yeah, dude. Slopestyle. I think we saw not a changing of the guard, but a changing of how things are, I think, a little bit. Kaidan Ingersoll in Rotorua.
Yeah.
He had some mistakes in his runs, but clearly was 2nd place. Clearly he was the best rider that day. Maybe not the best rider on the contest or whatever, but he definitely has the skills to pay the bills, no doubt. And it's not necessarily the way he's carrying himself at the events. Watching him at the events, he's just having fun. He's smiling, high-fiving. He's having fun because he's put in the work before he got there, which doesn't always happen in slopestyle. A lot of times when you see worried faces on the roll-in at slopestyle, it's because they didn't do the preparation.
Right.
But looking at all the videos, like Kaidan's training, like I don't know if you noticed, but Kaidan grew up a few towns away from Nikolai Rogatkin.
Okay.
That's been his, like, sort of his North Star. I'm going to be this Nikolai Rogatkin guy. But looking at the training videos between those guys, it's a lot more than just pushing each other to do tricks. They're in the gym. They're doing like random challenges, and Kaidan is like pushing the fitness side of what you need to have to be able to compete in slopestyle. And what it really reminds me of is when Ricky Carmichael came into the premier class in the late 90s in motocross and supercross. His first season, it was a yard sale, and in the back then the premier class was a 250. I think maybe he finished top 10 overall that year. A lot of crashes, didn't win a race, and everyone was like, "Oh, where's the Ricky Carmichael that dominated the 125 class?" He went and got Eldon Baker as a trainer. He completely changed the game on what you needed to do for fitness. Like, those guys weren't partying before the supercross races anymore after he showed up, after Carmichael showed up. And I'm kind of seeing maybe a little bit of that happening with Kaidan. Like, people
Pushing the whole field.
yeah, people in slopestyle, if they're going to want to compete with what Kaidan's going to bring to the table over the next 10 years, it's going to take way more than just riding the airbag and practicing and having tricks. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I totally agree. And I think lastly, there's cross country. We saw an interesting thing happen in the last couple of years. The World Cup started introducing much gnarlier tracks. We had some people cheering for it, some people cheering against it, some people saying, these poor people, they're just in a helmet, no protection. It's too gnarly, like that one race in Crans, Montana. I personally really like it. What's your take?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. It's changing the sport. I mean, look at the average XC bike 5 years ago and look at the average XC bike now.
Oh, yeah.
The XC bike now, I could actually see myself riding it and having a good time.
Yeah. Now you probably need a dropper post at these World Cups, and you probably want full suspension too. And you've seen sometimes where riders will change bikes per race. They'll have not a dropper post at this one. They'll have a hard tilt at this one. And now it's like pretty consistently you need full suspension, dropper post, and to send it and to have the skills. And I think that's interesting because that now separates riders a lot more than just fitness. Before it was fitness, a little bit of, strategy, technique, and now it's like you need to be a sick rider. And we're seeing this whole new wave of really sick riders. They're actually going viral on Instagram, like the Christopher Blevins, the Tweak, the pump track riding, all this stuff, and it's making these riders stick out.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's what XC has needed. I mean, it's got to look fun for people to want to do it, and XC is looking pretty fun these days.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so we're gonna wrap this up. Thank you so much for coming, Allan. It's been great to have you.
Yeah, dude, thanks for having me. First of many, I hope. Just over the hill, man.
Yeah, it's an exciting time. We just launched ReconMTB.com. We are really pushing on the social media, trying to make great content for people. And I think this will be first of many here. So please, everyone, keep it up, keep watching, and thank you for everything.
Yeah, dude, it's new, it's exciting, it's different. So don't hate on it just because it's different. I'm excited to see where it's going to go. It's something that I think the industry has been needing for a while, and I'm actually looking forward to seeing how everyone else is going to try to keep up.
Yeah, I think it's just a new angle, a fresh take. And it's not that we're doing something to kill other people. We just want to have a new voice, a fresh voice, and give new content for people to consume.
I'm into it. Let's do it.
Let's go.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, sorry, I wasn't really listening to you. I was thinking more about what you were saying.
It's almost, you really are waking up. Shoot.
And then you put your arms out, Allan.
Towards me?
No, you were getting them over there earlier. Go left, go last one. There you go. There, that one.
I can avoid that. You need to have an invisible line right here.